You live now?
Yep.
You can come up on me.
All right.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's that time of the week again, 7:22 here, Facebook Live, and welcome to our 6th edition already of the Facebook Live, the Rumble Mumble. It's the countdown to the annual, 22nd annual, actually, Rumble in Fort Wayne. And tonight we're here actually at the home of the Rumble in Fort Wayne. We'd like to thank the folks from the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum for giving us the use of this building, which actually has gone to the dogs, a big dog show going on. And so we're in the boardroom here tonight, and we're beyond excited. With me tonight is Kyle Dager from Grip Motorsports and Mr. Munchkin himself, Mike Fedorcak. Mike, can you believe that in 8 weeks from tonight, sorry to bother you, but we do have people that want to hear from you. So, if you could put Kevin's book down for just a few moments, we really would appreciate that. But 8 weeks from tonight, we will be next door here, actually on our brand new makeshift racetrack inside the building, and hot laps will be underway. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Now, Mike.
Now we got to get the dogs out of there first.
Okay.
Let the motorcycles do their thing and lay some good rubber down.
Okay.
And we'll come in and we'll put on a show.
Yeah, it's our Halloween version tonight, as you guys can see. We have a very fitting evil scientist, Mike Fedorcak.
Evil scientist. This is
Albert Einstein. I'm sorry. Larry. I'm not sure what you are.
I'm just stupid.
Okay.
I do that well.
That works too.
And you're Jack Hewitt, huh?
I'm obviously Jack Hewitt, and you're damn right I got time for an interview.
All right, there you go.
But I don't think this is going to stay on the rest of the show, so I'm just going to pull it now.
I've got glue. I've always come prepared.
Mike comes prepared.
I guess.
He is, and that's the true sign of an Einstein.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, Kyle, you have a burning question.
Yeah. So you mentioned, obviously, the creator of the Munchkin. Can you kind of talk us through the creation of that, how you came up with the name? Some help from Kevin Olson, I see.
No, I'm just putting a plug in, a cheap plug for his book.
Okay.
We're trying to get this. It's sold over 1 million copies already, but we're just trying anything we can.
Well, 1,000,001 is good.
1,000,001
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're going to do that tonight. But yeah, the Munchkin idea came up as a result of me knowing I was going to have a lot of idle time on my hands with some hand surgeries coming up as a result of a crash that I had. My hand surgery was down in Louisville, Kentucky, and on the way down there from Fort Wayne, it was during Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving family celebration. I had about 7 cups of coffee in me, kind of wired up on caffeine, going by the speedrome exit, and I thought, I've come awful close to winning a race there, but never got the job done. So I think I'm going to design a car just specifically for that short track and try to win a feature. So between Indianapolis and down to Louisville, I had all kinds of ideas floating around in my head. And what's the strongest structure I know of? It's the bridge. A bridge is kind of a triangle. So if you look closely at the car, it's kind of a triangle shape underneath the cage. Just some other kind of crazy ideas that I never really knew if they're going to work or not. Nothing really outlandish that hasn't been tried before, but just a combination of everything came out as pretty competitive car. So by the time I got down to Louisville, I had some stuff floating around my head and basic designs laid up for about 2 weeks with my hand, or more than 2 weeks. Just had some stitches in my hands. Went back to my drawing board, started laying some stuff down on paper. Made every component of the part on paper before I even started. I had some friends and relatives that helped me build parts. So now the frame, obviously the bending, the welding, and everything I did myself. But some of the smaller components I had other people involved with, and that made it a fun project.
Well, I know about 3 weeks ago we had Tony Stewart on our show, and we were at Eldora Speedway, and he praised very heavily the engineering design. He was telling us the story on how he became owner of the Munchkins, but he said he sat down and looked at the car, and he said at that time it was already light years ahead of any other midget.
Yeah, as far as midgets go, it was pretty far ahead of its time. As far as like an SCCA sports car or Formula Ford, it was not anything trick or radical. I used Carroll Smith's book as kind of a guide to put everything together, like anti-roll bars, low roll center heights. Some of the technical stuff just came out of his book. And it all seemed to work out pretty well.
Mhm.
But there's nothing really on it that hasn't been tried, 20 years prior to that car being built.
Do you still have the first Munchkin?
I do. It's actually just dug it out here about last March, and I've begun the restoration process on it. Haven't got a whole lot done on it, but just having a car in the shop there is really kind of a big thing for me. 'Cause after Tony took the other car that I run indoors back to his shop, my shop was without a race car in it for the first time in probably 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, and it was really amazing that I missed having a car there. Just like losing a kid,
Yeah.
Just a big empty spot, losing a dog, whatever. So after I got this car moved back in there, it's like, okay, the balance is right in the shop again because I've got a car in there. So it's been
Well, earlier this week, you posted on Facebook a picture of a bunch of parts laying on the floor. Now, what was that all about?
Just a wild idea I had, a joke.
A wild idea,
Well,
Mike
no, no,
Fedorcak?
Actually,
Never.
when I got the car out in March, it was kind of a goal to have it ready for this year's race, just to more or less parade around or put on display. But with my workload this year, I had a record year in my shop and just stuff going on. It never got done. I'll have a new goal next year. All right. So Larry, you're the first to hear. Next year, I'm going to try to have that Munchkin here.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
In competition or
No.
Oh, just on display?
Just on display, or hopefully, maybe if somebody will let me, maybe take a couple laps in it.
Well, I think I know somebody that might be able to get you that permission.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, we'll see what we
Pull
can do.
some strings, a little bit.
There you go.
Buy him some lunch or something, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, lunch is good. Well, if you just joined us, we are live here at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum and Expo Center. We get talking about the original Munchkin, and I'm thinking museum, but we're here at the Coliseum and the Expo Center, where in 8 weeks from tonight, it'll be the 22nd annual Rumble in Fort Wayne. A big shout out to Jason Deach Trailer Sales of Edgerton, Ohio, just down the road here. If you're looking for a trailer and need to get your race car up here to the Rumble in Fort Wayne, look up on the website. Check out Jason Deach. Over 350 trailers on display there at any given time.
Yeah, and advance tickets go on sale November 11th. So make sure if you have a favorite seat in the house, make sure you go ahead and pre-order those, and we'll see you December 27th, 28th.
Okay, Mike, as a seasoned veteran of the sport and having driven other forms of race cars, but primarily in the latter years, concentrating on the midgets, tell us what you have seen as far as midget racing, maybe some of the positive changes through the years, and then maybe some of the things that you think weren't quite as positive.
The negative things I've seen is, of course, just the cost, the engine cost, maybe due to rule changes. That's out of my jurisdiction, basically, but that's primarily the reason I quit doing it, is just because of the engine cost. The racing today, I don't think it could get any more exciting than it is today. I mean, it was okay back in the day, but dirt midgets are just, I don't know what you can do for better excitement than that.
Well, I know just the midget feature down at Eldora a few weeks ago during the Four Crown Nationals.
Wow.
It was literally hold your breath because it was I could probably use a Jack Hewitt phrase, but this is a family show, so I won't say it. But it was just phenomenal. And
I never thought I'd see the day that I would see a midget race like that at that racetrack. I mean, it was phenomenal, and those guys must have just left their brains back in pits because they were just I couldn't believe it was people driving these cars. And
They used every inch of that racetrack
Oh, wow.
with slide jobs, and I don't think the word fear even existed.
No. And that's a big difference I see nowadays. I mean, I'm sure guys back in my time had fear. I mean, I had fear. I had respect. But I don't know if it's the tires that they're running now. Something is allowing them to run inches apart with confidence, lap after lap. And for the fans, they can't get a better show. I mean, if that race at Eldora didn't excite you, I don't know what does.
Yeah, exactly.
So for some of the fans that might not know who you are, can you kind of talk a little bit about like Albert Einstein? Obviously, we have Albert Einstein with us. But can you kind of like talk us through your career? What other racing do you do besides indoors, and kind of how you got to where you are here today?
I've done slot cars.
Okay.
That was my first actual racing I got to do was slot cars. My dad built a little yard cart for me when I was 6 years old. I wanted to race competitively at that age, but my mother wouldn't have nothing to do with that. So
Well, Mom always knows best.
yeah, she knows best. But I had our yard was just dirt. All the grass was gone. It had solid tires on it, Briggs & Stratton engine. Didn't get my first racing go-kart until I was in college. I went to Tri-State College, and they have an annual go-kart race there. So I was able to compete in that for a couple of years, and that really got me my start. Then I raced locally here, tracks, saved for a midget. I bought my first midget from the Knuckles family and rebuilt that one. That was in like 1978, 79. And after a while, found out that car didn't have all the adjustments on it that I kind of learned about, but this car was not capable of performing those adjustments. So I designed and built my own car, and that car was pretty successful right out of the box. So we just kind of went on from there. And I've raced super modifieds. I've raced stock cars. For a while, I was pursuing an IndyCar ride, and I took a little bit of time on a promotional thing out at Mesa Marin in a Saab or a Mazda series formula car.
I see.
One-off thing, but it was fun. Got some publicity out of it. Never got to the speedway, obviously, but it was not for lack of trying.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, here at the Coliseum a few years ago, you actually competed with 600s and the midgets, trying to do double duty.
I did.
Was that a bit too much, or is it something you think you might try again?
Oh, I'd love to try it again, but the opportunity is not going to be there this year. It is definitely, you wouldn't think it'd be that much additional load on you as far as mental or physical, but it was a little bit extra load. It was noticeable. It can be done again, though. I mean, I'm 60, I'll be 65 here in a month.
Is that right?
Still probably in the better shape than I was back in my 40s. So that's not an object.
65, and you're running against, I think the minimum age in the Kenyan series is like 13. So it's kind of like the youth against the veteran. Does that concern you at all on the racetrack?
No, it's great. I think Tony mentioned when he was on this show that he enjoys racing with these kids, and some of them are falling out of the saddle earlier than him. I'd like to think that maybe I could hang in there with Tony. He's pretty good shape, but he does not have the advantage of all the props like the kids have. Although last year I installed power steering in Tony's car, so he should have a little more advantage now.
You mean prior to that there was no power steering?
No, these Munchkins have no power steering in them.
Holy cow.
Yeah. They're actually pretty easy to drive. I mean, I designed the front end so that the geometry is such that it makes them easy to drive.
Okay.
So,
well, I know Tony likes to use every inch of the racetrack when he's out there, and
maybe some cars sometimes also.
Yeah, sometimes they get in his way, and
Yeah,
he lets them know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit of a nudge here and there. And do you have a particular driving style that you favor when you're here inside the Coliseum?
Survive.
Well, last year you had a rough year.
Last year was the most fun I've ever had not making the race. I mean, with all our frustrations, people saw the amount of frustration we had. But Tony was kind of at a personal point in his life. I was at a personal point in my life where we kind of fed off each other.
Mhm.
And there were some other guys in the crew that were kind of undergoing the same thing. So it was like a really man bond weekend. The problems came up and we solved them as we went to the best we could, but it was more about some guys getting together and having a good time and forgetting about all the rest of the cares in the world. And I think that's what a lot of people experience when they come here. It's just an escape. You know, it's an escape.
Well,
in the
you're
middle
like
of
on
winter.
top of each other. I mean, it's a very, very tight pit area.
It is a tight pit area, and you have to exercise some grace and some forgiveness and basic human get along policies.
We're talking about racers.
Racers, yeah, in the pits and on the racetrack to
Okay.
a certain extent. Of course, now Larry, you control that to a certain extent.
Well,
What goes on the track itself, have no control of what goes on after the track, but
well, I've been known to run back there and take care of a few problems.
you have, or you have your boys take care of it.
There you go.
That's a good thing.
Or you hit people with flags on the track and just take care of it right there.
Yeah, sometimes I like to think that maybe we're part of the show ourselves as far as the officials and entertaining the people.
Well, the best compliment to you is if we don't know you're there. That means you've got everything in control and it's all going smooth.
Well, we have a great team of officials, and I really have to give a big shout out to everybody that partakes as far as a team member and official at the Rumble in Fort Wayne, because we literally are here like 7:30 in the morning. The first one's in and the last one's to leave. Last year, we were very late to leave because of a certain team that was having a lot of problems that wouldn't get out of the building.
Well, you'll have that. We love it so much here, we just don't want to leave.
There you go.
Although, you know, we always had the after party to go to, so certain members of the team left early, and I think they were putting some time in out at the Ramada race headquarters.
I see.
Yeah.
Having Pepsi Cola.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Of course.
Or as Tony put it, just beverages.
Yes, beverages. He was very politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we always have fun after the races.
Well, speaking of the Ramada, there are 3 hotels that we consider to be our racer rate hotels. They now have those racer rates available. You can go and give them a call. You go to our website, rumbleinfortwayne.com, check them out. Yeah, the glare of the glasses. I know I'm having a hard time to see here. I might have to have.
The glare of the head.
Oh, is it spinning? Yeah, I mean, when I see, I need to wear this at the racetrack, because then when I really get teed off at something, then that'll start going around, and everybody, it'd be just sort of like a brake light.
The heat coming off your head would make that propeller go.
There you go. Yeah,
I thought
maybe
it
you
was
could
just
design
fun.
something for that.
I could.
Yeah,
You know, I could put sensors
with your
on it.
Einstein
Put
abilities.
sensors on it, put a
Your name tag was covered up here, Mr. Einstein. You
Oh,
want everybody
sorry.
to know that you're here. Okay.
I don't know if you can see that on camera.
But,
Close. Camera.
well, you can tell we were looking forward to this one. But anyways, back before I was rudely interrupted, our host hotels, we have the Hyatt Place, and the rate there is $82. It includes the full breakfast, which is a great breakfast every morning there. We have the Ramada Plaza, which is $80, and that includes the heated pool and the beverage location. And then right across the street from us is the Holiday Inn. They're a little bit more expensive at $109, but you get a breakfast with that, and you literally can walk to your room. So those are our host hotels. Be sure when you call to ask for the racer rate.
Yep, and we need to thank some of the sponsors that are starting to come on board for this year's
Sure.
Rumble. Rage Carts, Bob Busher Homes, Larry Shock Technology. They're starting to do some class sponsorships. We also have a few RJ Sailor, Sailor Racing Engines, Competition Suspension Inc., and Larry Shock Technology. They're starting to do a lot of stuff here too.
Well, the entry forms for everybody except for the go-karts are now online, and they're coming in quickly. If you don't know, the Rumble in Fort Wayne is very, very extensive in that we not only have the midgets, in which Dr. Einstein Fedorcak participates in, we have the wing 600s and non-wing 600, 5 or 6 classes of quarter midgets, and 7 classes of go-karts. So it's nonstop racing. And we really look forward to it, again, December 27th and 28th. Mike, I hate to really bother you here. I know Kevin is pretty interesting to read. Do you have a favorite Kevin Olson story? Or is he just a
I guess
story?
the one that comes to mind first is the Kevin Olson led tour through the Queen Mary. out in Los Angeles. We're out there once again helping Stan Fox, Steve Lewis get his cars ready to go. Took a little break. About 5 or 6 of us piled into the Suburban, went down to the dock area. Kevin said, we're going to go tour the Queen Mary. Okay, that's great. So we toured the Queen Mary. We found the way in through a side maintenance door. So all of us went into this side maintenance door and went up the stairs and went through the boat, and nobody ever stopped us. I think it was a $15 admission. Of course, we never wanted to pay for anything. So we went through the boat. Stan Fox and I kind of paired off and went our own way. Kevin, I don't know where he disappeared to, but Stan and I, we went into a conference room. We were looking for beer. Okay, that was our goal, was to find some beer. So we ducked into a couple different doors, nothing going on. We found this one particular room where there was a conference that had just adjourned, and there's a complete.
And they had a beverage station.
Oh, a beverage station had complete food spread and everything else, spread out for the guys that had just had this meeting. And Stan immediately, his intellect was just like that. They said, "Oh, I see you're here to clean up." Stan said, Yep, no problem. Just take your time, guys. We're just here to clean up. Don't worry about anything. So Stan and I proceeded to help ourselves to all the food and everything. Mind you, it's still a free tour. We're in a kind of the lower part of the boat, and we end up going down to the basement, the engine room, and we're looking up through the stairwells, and there's people looking down on us, part of a tour.
So you had to pretend that you were part of
like we're
the
part of the
engineers?
ship. And then we finally found out where Kevin was. He's hanging out at the bar up on one of the upper decks. So we reassemble all of our guys. Now we're going to go tour. Kevin says we are going to go down and go through the Spruce Goose. So, because the Howard Hughes Spruce Goose was down in the same parking lot as what the Queen Mary was.
Okay.
So there is I'll call him a yellow shirt stationed down the stairs to the Spruce Goose. We came upon that guy, Kevin Olson. There's also some hot rods parked down there. Okay. And Kevin evidently saw that. So he proceeds to show his USAC midget license to this yellow shirt guy, tells him we're with all the hot rod cars down there. So we all go by and go by this guard, and we go down and tour the Spruce Goose together. So, that's typical of how he thinks. I've tried to emulate that a little bit. I've gotten into the Indy 500 for free. No, that's like the wall you can't get through.
Okay, you heard that first here from Dr. Einstein Fedorcak.
I have gotten in the parking area before here at the Rumble, but kind of legitimately.
Okay.
It's all good.
Well, if you're just joining us, a man who needs no introduction, Mike Fedorcak from just down the road here. I believe, is it Roanoke?
Roanoke now, home of Indy 500 starter Ted Hartley.
Oh, is that
Gene Hartley.
Gene Hartley, yeah.
Ted was his dad. Yeah.
He was victorious here in the old
Was
Coliseum,
he
correct?
not the first one?
I believe you're right.
I think he won the first.
And that was
second.
in the hockey rink. And
Yes.
for you old timers that are remembering the Bill Lipke promotions, which were a mainstay, I think it was the second or fourth Sunday of January, or maybe the first and third. But anyway, 2 Sundays in January, this was the hotbed. This is where you had to be. And they extended the building and created a new expo center, and it's massive. And that's where the races are held now. And we use pretty much every square inch of this building. We have the midget pit area, which is off behind the turn. We changed the tracks. I guess that would be turns 1 and 2. Then back in the closet are the 600s. Behind the bleachers at the other end, we have the quarter midgets, and clear down in the basement, some 800 feet away, are the go-karts, and they're in the original pit area. So we invite you to get a pit pass when you come here. Mike, please pay attention.
When you start boring me, Larry, that's when I pick up this book.
Well, you know what?
I know this stuff you already talked about. That's like old stuff. So
I'm so proud of myself. Everybody that's been watching the show knows that I don't know how to turn the alarm off when it comes. So I practiced this week, and I learned how to turn it off. That's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news is I forgot to turn it on. So our show that is supposed to be 22 minutes is going to go well beyond that tonight. So hang in there, folks, with us.
Just put it on my tab, Larry. I'll pay for it.
Oh, is that right?
This is all good.
You heard that first here. Mike Fedorcak is going to spend some money. So we're really looking forward to that. Mike, the Munchkin, solely your design, or do you have people that help you? Or you talked about your shop. Let's jump back and move forward, so to speak. What is it that your shop is? What do you do?
I have a metal fabrication shop. I work for a big company here in town, International Harvester. When they moved out of town, I decided to start my own business. I wanted to race all the time anyways. I was planning on racing while working there, but it was kind of a premature move into racing. So to start unknowingly, a lot of stuff, I just kind of taught myself how to do things, taught myself how to weld. Actually, Grant King is the person that gave me my first welding lesson.
Is that right?
That's where it started out.
That's a legend in racing.
Oh, there's so much stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I got it going like that, and it continues to grow today. This has been my busiest year so far. Has been this year. So I'm still going strong. Welding, repairing, fabricating, coming up with some new stuff once in a while, prototype parts, fixing lawnmower decks, all kind of good stuff. Chairs, everything.
That's great.
I got to promote my guy here, Physical Medical Consultants. Dr. Dave Stenson's local guy.
Okay.
Been behind me for years.
Okay.
He helps out T-Meds with the sprint car they run at gas.
Oh,
City.
okay.
Yeah, so good guy. Good
All right.
place.
Great.
Shameless plug.
Yep. And keeping on with your plugs, someone actually just said they bought Kevin's book. So there's your million and
There-
one book.
million and
right
one
there.
copies.
Yeah.
Well, you make sure you get your commission from Kevin, right?
I will. I think he gives me like 5 cents a piece.
Is that right?
He wrote me a check when I was going for my IndyCar sponsorship. Kevin Olson wrote me a check for $1 million.
And you haven't cashed it to
I
this
haven't
day.
cashed it. Just
Not yet.
Well, if I know Kevin, I'll use an old Earl Balthus story. Having worked for Earl for so many years, I could almost write another book. There's the Book of Earl. I could write a book, The Life with Earl. But one of his favorite lines was whenever he would pay a bill, we'd go to like the electric company or something like that, and Earl would write out a check. And he says, "Oh, here's a check. Well, don't worry if it doesn't cash. I've got more here. I can just keep writing them." So he always carried that checkbook, and he had some great stories, as I'm sure you have. What would be maybe your most memorable moment here at Fort Wayne in the Rumble?
it would have to be winning. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
How great does that feel in front of your hometown crowd?
Very good. Very good. I mean, I won back in the old floor, the old Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
That meant quite a bit. That was my first USAC win. But to do it here in the modern day with that car meant quite a bit to me.
So you are probably the only driver, maybe Russ Gamester?
Russ Gamester.
Right.
And Russ Gamester took my oldest feature winner record away.
Is that
So
right? So now you've got a goal.
I got a goal.
There you go.
Yeah. And I got to hand it to Russ. I mean, he's a great guy. And he deserves to.
I don't know. Is that car he drives older than him?
It may be. And that's a Grant King built car.
There you go. Yeah,
So-
it's a lot of history behind that car as well.
Yeah, and when you look at a lot of racing stuff, it ties together so much with the history and with the people involved and the stories. It goes on and on. Could write a book. Actually, somebody ought to write a book about it. I think
The Roar of the Rumble.
There you go.
There we go.
Well,
Maybe if Dave Argerbright's watching in, noted author, good friends with Dave, maybe he will join us and we could do a Rumble book.
I want to thank you for continuing the tradition that was started back on the old floor. I mean,
Well, it's something we really look forward to, and it's quite a challenge. One of these Rumble Mumbles, we are going to actually come back here to the Coliseum. We wanted to do it today to show you the building before the racetrack. We take 4 walls and a concrete wall and convert it into a racetrack. And that's part of the challenge. I have to thank David Barnes, Brian Demlin, the Lasecki boys, Ron Cooper, Vern Whirling that come in, and we put together that racetrack. And it's kind of like a concert. It takes us like 10 hours to put it together. And then within an hour and a half after the races are over, it's all gone. All that's left is that black circle of rubber on the racetrack.
I'm thinking YouTube video, speed it up.
Somebody, I think Kyle from Grip Motorsports Marketing is going to put a time-lapse video up
There you
this
go.
year. And since Dr. Einstein gave you that great idea, he probably will be asking for commission.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely write you a check just as long as you don't cash it. I don't know, a couple weeks here,
Okay,
10,
well,
20 years, I don't know.
I'll wait till I see your name in the newspapers
There you go.
for good things, and then I'll cash it.
Okay.
Not on the police
Not
blotter.
on the police.
Okay. Well, again, we're here at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum and Expo Center, the Rumble Mumble. We thank Kurt Brockman for coming up with the name of the series. It's designated to be a 22-minute program, but when we have somebody with the credentials of Mike Fedorcak with us, we tend to go longer than that. Only Tony Stewart has allowed us to go more than 22 minutes. So you're in the same category, Mike. You're in the same category as
well,
Tony
if you're talking
Stewart.
about me, then I'll
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
attention.
there you go. You're so vain.
That Tony guy, yeah, he was entertaining, but
Well, you and Tony have the best pit area in the house.
it could be the best or it could be the worst.
In what way?
There's race cars flying at us.
But you can watch that racetrack where everybody else is hidden by the bleachers.
Yeah, we do. We do have that advantage.
Yeah.
And he takes advantage of that advantage, I'm sure. But yeah, they are good pits. And we get to go under the bleachers.
Yeah, you have kind of like the penthouse patio underneath the bleachers.
We do. We do.
And I'm sure some stories are told in there.
Stories and memories.
There you
are made.
go.
Yep.
So many memories. And the neat thing about racing, I think, Mike, and you've touched on it, is the atmosphere. I don't think there's any other sport where the players and the spectators can mingle as one while the sport is actually underway.
It's one of two that I know of. The other being the Nationals, U.S. Nationals. Went there this summer. That was a great experience because you get to be right up next to the cars. But yes, here you can be right next to the drivers, get in their face in the pits. You can breathe toxic air, just like you can at the Nationals. It's methanol. It's not nitro, but it's just as toxic. I'm just kind of kidding about that. But actually, the air quality is pretty good. And in recent years, it's been better yet. Whatever you're doing to the air.
We are always trying to improve upon it because that is the biggest complaint from the fans is the air movement. So we are working out. We've tried different things. I guess probably we haven't consulted with anybody of Einstein quality yet. So we'll lean upon you this year when we put that together. But definitely, we bring in more fans. Circulating fans. I'd like to bring in more race fans as well, but we bring in the fans, and we're moving the air around. And the folks here at the Coliseum are just phenomenal to work with, just phenomenal. They're so accommodating and really work well with us. We're getting close here, and in about 50 seconds, we're going to be cutting it short and closing up our show. Mike, any closing words of wisdom, what we can look forward to?
You're putting me on a spot, Larry. I haven't been.
I've never seen you speechless.
I don't have an answer prepared for this, but words of come on out to the races. If you've never been before, it's one just to put on your bucket list to experience it and nothing else. Don't pay attention to what people say other than the ones that say it's a great thing to do, because it's a different experience.
I think Tony related to it as more than a race. It's an event.
It's an event. It's a party, pretty much a party. A race breaks out. I think he referred to that also. A lot of tradition. Memories are made. Records are broken. Exciting racing. You've got kids doing quarter midgets, the whole thing. So it's all good.
I'm
Look
so
at
proud
that.
of you.
I'm a genius. Well, Kyle, thank you for coming on board again tonight for the Rumble Mumble. Tune in with us next Thursday at 7:22. Not sure where we're going to be. We have so many people we want to talk to. It's just the logistics of getting there. It makes it a little bit difficult.
Get this guy.
Get Kevin to take us.
Kevin.
Does he still have that station wagon?
Probably.
Probably.
I sent out a service bulletin on that for him for repair on his rear torque arm thing, and unbelievable what he was driving, how he was driving it. The rear end is literally just wallowing in the car. Whole nother story. Guarantee you'll have some good stories out of this guy.
Well, we definitely will be looking for you, Mike, here on December 27th to 28th, the 22nd Annual Rumble in Fort Wayne, presented by Jason Deach Trailer Sales. So until next Thursday, on behalf of Kyle, Mike, and myself, thank you for joining us tonight.